All right.
Okay.
So today we need to learn all about completing the square and going forward with the mixed conics homework that I'll give you at the end of class today. We need to use that completing the square in multiple occasions, sometimes once, sometimes multiple occasions. Okay? So this is a refresher from Algebra 2 of completing the square. Okay? So there are a few different type of steps that you need to do in order to actually complete the square. It's a way of solving that we're going to use as a way of rewriting. So we're going to not necessarily use every single step, but we're going to show you every single step. So the first step is that you need to space out your equation and move the number term to the right. You can, this is notes, so we'll get to graphing one, so if you want to put it on there, that's fine. If you want to put this stuff on your supplemental note sheet, that's a you call, not a me call. Okay? Alright? So how we're going to space out this equation is, we're going to leave x squared, we're going to leave negative 6, and then I'm going to make a gap, and I'm going to move that positive 11 to the other side as negative 11. I'm going to subtract 11 from both sides, but I'm not going to scrunch it in. I'm going to leave it spaced out. Okay? With me so far? Okay? Pretty easy so far. Second step is now we're going to factor the variable part so that the coefficient on the squared term is equal to 1. So we want this number here to be equal to 1. In this particular case, we have that done. Okay? In all cases later on, we might not have that done, so we'll come back to that step number 2 when we get there. Okay? The third step then is we are going to look for the B term. The B term is the coefficient of the non-squared variable. So in this case, B is equal to negative 6. Okay? Then we're going to find B over 2. We're going to divide that term by 2. So negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. We are also going to find B over 2 squared. So I'm going to square that term. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. We're going to take the B squared, or excuse me, the B over 2 quantity squared, and it's going to fill in the space that we made in our equation. But what we've done now is we've unbalanced our equation, so in order to rebalance it, we have to add it to the right side also. Okay. Give me a second here to rewrite my equation. Step number 5 then says, now we can factor the left side. The nice part about factoring the left side is it will always be a set of parentheses that will be squared. And it will always be our variable. And then this b over 2 term comes back into play. It will always factor to be that. If we forget that, we can always go x squared minus 6x plus 9, and then you need to, okay, I need an x, I need an x, I need two numbers that multiply together to be positive 9 and add to be negative 6. So that would be x minus 3 and x minus 3, since they're both the same. And that equals negative 2. Then our next step is we square root both sides, remembering that whenever we're taking the square root and we're solving, we have to add in a plus or a minus. Okay? So if I square root this left side, I'm left with just x minus 3. Square root of something squared is just that something. So the square root of x minus 3 quantity squared is just x minus 3. And then on this side, I get plus or minus. In this case, it would be the square root of negative 2. Now, knowing what we know from simplifying radicals, which we have done in the past, okay, do I like the square root of negative 2? What do I like instead? I square roots of 2.
Imaginary numbers.
Not necessarily all of the time, but in this particular case, it is. On the ones that we get to when we get to them today, when we get to a conic, there won't be any imaginary numbers. Because you can't graph an imaginary number. There won't be any imaginary numbers today. Or after this one. Okay? And then lastly, we just have to solve. Okay? And so we go about solving by adding 3 to both sides. And so our final answer here is x equals 3 plus or minus I square root of 2. Today, when we get to conics, you're going to stop at step number 5. If we're solving by completing the square, then we have to do steps 6 or 7. But if today for conics, and this week for conics, and next week for conics, and the week after for conics, and the week after for your final, you get to stop right there at step 5. What's that about? Sure. So we got this week, right? Okay. Then we got next week, right? Which we got quadratic system of the equation. Then we got the test this week. Yep. And then we've got the final this week.
Oh,
Because then you guys are done the next week.
okay.
Yeah. Come on. Oh, come on, Cole. You think I don't know how many days are left in school? I mean, there's 26 school days left. Written right there on the board. I really don't. Okay. Right? So let's solve this one by completing the square. Okay. So step 1 said we need to space out our equation. So then this would be 2x squared minus 28x equals negative 1. Third floor, you know, it's 9:17 and they decided to rearrange all of their rooms. And then in half an hour, they'll put them all back. Only two in like 45 minutes. Rearrange all the rooms again. Step number 2 said, I need to factor out this 2. Because we have a 2 there, I need to factor it out, leaving me with x squared minus 14x, and then equaling still negative 1. Step number 3 said, I need to identify my b value. What is my b value? Negative 14. Then I need to divide that by 2. Negative 7. Then I need to square that. That 49 fills in this space. But what's going to be added to the other side? Do we agree with 49 being added to the other side? I do not agree with 49 being added to the other side. I like 98. How'd you come up with 98? Because that purple is inside the green, and the green is being controlled by the 2. So really, we're adding 98 to the left side, which means I need to add 98 to the right side. Okay? Then we can factor. So then this would become 2 times the quantity x minus 7 quantity squared is equal to 97. That's where we stop? For now, for today, yes, we would stop there. This one said solve, so let's keep going. We would divide both sides by 2. Square root. We won't go all the way on this one, but we won't rationalize our denominators. And then add 7. With me? Good. Okay. Let's put it to work now in a conic. A classic problem that we're going to give you is something like this. Here is a conic section. We need to get it into our standard form, which you have written on your supplemental sheets. Okay? So we need to get it into that point so that we can graph it and then identify the key parts. Okay? So our completing the steps, completing the square, wrong password, our completing the square takes on a little different form, but now we're going to stop at that step 5. Okay? Okay? So first off, we need to figure out what kind of a conic this is. What?
We have 2 square variables and they're not the same.
And one more thing. And we're adding the squared terms. Yep. We have 2 squared terms, so that eliminates parabola. we have an addition between those two squared terms, so that eliminates hyperbola, and we have differing coefficients. Okay, so that makes this be an ellipse. So our goal is to get it into x minus h quantity squared all over a squared plus y minus k quantity squared all over b squared equals 1 form. Right? Yeah. So step number 1 is going to be, we're going to space out everything. So I'm going to go 4x squared. I'm going to bring the negative 48x over next to the x squared. And then I'm going to leave a space. Now, some people, and I can 100% be one of those people if you want me to be, some people put a little bit of a box right there because then they know that they have to fill up that space. Okay? If you want to be one of those people, by all means, become one of those people. Okay? Then we've got plus y squared minus 14y then. Then we would have yet another box, and then that would equal negative 189. Okay? Over here on the x's, I'm going to need to factor out a 4. So let's look at the green b first. What is my x b value? What kind of 12? Negative 12. So I need to divide that by 2. Negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6, and I need to square it. Negative 6 squared? 36. Okay. Which means plus 36 is going to go there. But really, what am I adding? Nope. I'm adding 144 because it's inside the parentheses with the 4. Okay. Now we take on the y's. What is the b value for the y variables? Negative 14. I have to divide that one by 2. Negative 7. And then I have to square it. Negative 7 squared, 49. So I'm adding 49 here. What am I really adding on that side? Just 49. So I need to add 49 on the other side.
You always do that, right?
Correct. My green set here factors to be 4 times the quantity of what? X minus 6 squared plus my y factors to be y minus 7 quantity squared, and that equals how much? Negative 189. Oh, it is. I think it equals 4, doesn't it? 4? We agree with 4? Equals 4. Okay? Still not in my form yet, right? So what do I need to do next? Divide everywhere by 4. Correct. So I need to divide by 4 there. I need to divide by 4 there. And I need to divide by 4 there. Which gives me then the quantity x minus 6 squared over 1, because 4 divided by 4 is 1, plus y minus 7 quantity squared over 4 equals 1. Yes? Yeah. So now that is our standard form of our ellipse that we now need to graph and find all of the points for. Okay? So, where is the center on this ellipse? 6, 7. Okay? What is the A value of this one? 1. What is the B value of this one? 2. So I go over to 6, 7, 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, and 7. There's that. I go left and right 1. I go up and down 2. That gives me my teeny tiny ellipse. We needed to find the center. We found it. What else do we need to find? Vertices next. Yeah. Where are the vertices on this? Okay, is major axis left and right or up and down? Up and down, so where are they? 6, 5, and 6, 9. We also need to find the foci. What's the equation for the foci? Absolute value of a squared minus b squared. Okay. So that's going to be 1 minus 4. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. Absolute value of negative 3 is 3. So my C value then is going to be square root of 3. Agree? Okay. Do I add or subtract that to the x's or to the y's of the center? To the y's because it's vertical. And there's everything that we need. Agree? Huh? Questions, comments, concerns, clarification? You try this one on your own. So what circle, or what circle? What conic is it? I gave it away. It's a circle, because x squared and y squared, we have an x squared and a y squared. We have a plus sign in between them, and the coefficients are the same in between them. So we have a circle here. So that's going to be x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared. Okay. So we space out x squared plus 16x plus y squared minus 10y equals 11. Right? Yeah. My x b value is positive 16. My b over 2 would be positive 8. And my b over 2 squared would be 64. So I'm going to fill this gap here with 64, which means I need to add 64 to that side. My y b value is negative 10, which means when I divide that by 2, I get negative 5, which means when I square that, I get 25. Which means I'm going to fill this gap with 25, which means I need to add another 25 to that. X, then it would be plus 8 quantity squared plus y, it would be minus 5 quantity squared, and that's going to equal 75, 100. So that becomes my equation. Two parts of a circle that we need to find are center is negative 8, 5, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. What's my center there? What is my radius? 10. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 down to there, 10 over to there, 10 way up there, way off the circle or way off the grid. Oh, I missed. Close enough. We won't finish it off until I'm going through my work. Yeah, so it's a big old circle out there. Okay? Homework time. Now, I have some explaining to do on said homework after I get it out to you. Okay? So that we can explain. So, on the front side, there are 10 equations. Okay? You need to identify the conic in each one. That's from Monday. You need to put each of those conics into the standard form of what it is. That's from today. Okay? Then On the back side, you need to pick one. Tell us, can we act like we're seniors for 5 seconds so that I can explain the homework so that you know? He's not the only one I'm expecting an answer from. Thank you. On the back side, you need to fill up those 4 graphs. One of those graphs is going to be a parabola from the front side. Are you listening? Because it's hard to listen when you're talking at the same time. One of those graphs needs to be a circle from the front side. I don't care which parabola you choose. I don't care which circle you choose. One of those graphs needs to be an ellipse from the front side. I don't care which one you choose. One of those graphs needs to be a hyperbola from the front side. So on the back side, you're only graphing one of each of the 4 kinds of conics. And you can choose which one you want from the front. There are at least 2 of each one on the front side. Okay?